So in this video, we are going to learn about how to answer 8 marks essay question for Junior Inter English from the part Supplementary Reader. So we have 5 chapters, but whereas what I suggest you is, if you practice well the first 3, Engine Trouble by R.K. Narayan and The Immaculate Child by Premchand or The Last Leaf by O. Henry. If you practice these 3 questions, maybe I think that definitely you will get 1 out of these 3. Right? So now let's quickly learn how to do this. Here I am going to give you some short notes to answer this question. So first of all, you should have the idea about what is the engine trouble all about, and then what kind of problems the narrator faced after winning the road rolling engine, and how he survived finally, right? So this is all about the engine trouble. Now let's look at this. So the story, The Engine Trouble, is written by R.K. Narayan, a famous Indian English writer. So the narrator won a road rolling engine in a lottery organized in his town. He was very thrilled that he had won such a rare prize, though he did not know what to do with. The engine was at Gincana grounds and it has to be shifted to his house. As the engine was very big and heavy, he left the engine in the ground for a few days. He also paid rent for 3 months. So that was the main passage. And the next one is, then he decided to sell it, but nobody came forward to buy. So with great difficulty, the narrator was able to find a driver and 50 workers and an elephant to move this big road engine. A huge crowd gathered to witness the great show of shifting the engine. The engine and the workers started pushing the engine from back. After moving a bit, the elephant was afraid, the driver lost control, and the engine hit a compound wall opposite to it. Then you can imagine what happened with that. Okay? So as a result, the narrator was arrested and sent to jail. After releasing from jail, the narrator planned to leave the town. Meanwhile, all of a sudden, an earthquake hit the town. Luckily, the earthquake pushed the road engine into a disused well situated in front of a house. Now it is fitted exactly in the well like a cork. So actually the owner was in a great worry of closing the well. So the owner felt extremely happy about this sweet, shocking incident. In this way, nature has rescued the narrator in an unexpected manner to get rid of his troubles. This story reveals the reality that there shall be luck in bad luck. So this is how you have to write this. Practice this question and answer again and again and try to memorize some of the sentences so that you can do well. Now another important one is sketch the character of Gangu, and from the lesson The Immaculate Child. You know the story pretty well, how this boy Gangu is a Brahmin, but what happened exactly is he has that supremacy in his as a boy, and as you know, he was working with the worker, the boss, the narrator, and suddenly he wants to get resigned from his job, and then he goes and he also says that he wants to marry Gomati, a widow. However, the narrator doesn't like the situation. So now he marries, he resigns the job, and he lives happily by selling some kind of chat. Then this is how the story goes. And finally, after some days, Gomati leaves him and he's worried and but the narrator feels very happy because he expected that it would happen like this. So one fine morning, she returned again with a small baby in her hands. So then the Gangu feels very happy about her return, and he shows this boy to the the narrator. So that's how the story goes on. Now let's look at this. The story, The Immaculate Child, is written by Premchand. Actually, he is a well-known Hindi writer, short story writer. And then The Immaculate Child is a story reflecting the mindset of Indian people. The narrator has a big house with some servants, and Gangu is one of the servants in that house, and he's a Brahmin boy, right? And he has high respect for his caste. He tries to show his superiority as a Brahmin. One day, he comes to the narrator and says that he's going to resign his job, and he also says that he's going to marry Gomti, a widow. The narrator advises Gangu not to marry that woman, but he doesn't care for his words. He resigns the job, marries Gomti, and lives happily by selling chaat in public places. So he's happy with his wife. After some months, Gomti leaves Gangu and goes away. The narrator feels happy because it happened as he expected. However, Gangu is still in love with her. He hoped that she would return one day. So after some days, as he expected, Gomti comes home with a child in her arms. Gangu feels very happy. He takes this child in his arms and goes to the house of the narrator. Gangu shows his son to the narrator and speaks in favor of her. Even Gangu accepts the boy as his own son. Gangu's broad mind and his good behavior changes the mindset of the narrator. So he takes the Immaculate Child into his arms. He praises Gangu for his attitude. This is how you can write the short story in the form of an essay in a simple way. First of all, you have to understand the story and then write in these three areas what is the position of the boy first, and then what did he do, and how he had some good time with his wife, and then how the narrator felt happy when Gomati left him. So finally, what happened when Gomati returns, how he feels and how he shows, and even finally the narrator praises Gangu for his mindset. So this is how you will write this answer. Then finally, the last one, The Last Leaf by O. Henry. So now this is what an interesting story once again. This is all about how you should have hope, and sometimes you can say that the belief. So what this story about is all about is how Johnsy, and she has problem, and she thinks that she would die by looking at the leaf, because every time the leaf falls, and she thinks that as soon as all the leaves will fall and I will die, that's her hope. But her husband tries to console her that nothing to worry, so you have a long life and you will live forever. And this is something like an work by an artist who saved the life of Johnsy. So now let's just read this story and try to understand, and then you can write well. First of all, you should have the idea and the gist of the story, what's all about. The Last Leaf is a short story written by Henry. It's a story of hope, friendship, and sacrifice. Sue and John C. were both artists who had their studio on the top of an old 3-story house. In the winter season, John C. was attacked by pneumonia. She lay in her bed looking out of the window. There was an old vine creeper with dead roots that climbed halfway up the wall. The cold autumn had blown its leaves. She kept counting the leaves that remained on the vine. She thought that she would die when the last leaf falls from the vine. Though Sue tried to console and convince John C., she was waiting to see the last leaf fall and eventually end her life. So now we have another important character who saved the life of John C. is Berman. Berman is a very old man. He's a 60-year-old drunkard even. He lives on the first floor of the building. He was a failure in art, but he always talks about a great masterpiece that he was going to paint. Sue told Berman about John C.'s condition and her strange notion of death to the last leaf. Berman thought of saving John C.'s life. So John C. expected that the last leaf might have fallen last night because of heavy rain and strong wind. So now she was eager to see it the next day morning. But to her surprise, the leaf was still there. Seeing the leaf, she gained hope and started to recover. But old Berman died of pneumonia. The two friends came to know that Berman climbed up and painted the green leaf on the wall that rainy night. When the last leaf fell, it was his real masterpiece that saved the life of John C. Thus, we can conclude that this story is a story of hope, friendship, sacrifice, commitment, and compassion. This is how the friends saved the life of John C. And Sue tried to console her and save her by saying some good words always. This is how you can write this story. So I hope that these 3 stories will be quite useful for you. So just read again and again or once or twice. Once you understand, I'm sure that you can do well with these 8 marks question answers. And what I suggest you is prepare well with engine trouble, and then what do we call, like the second one is sketch the character of Gangu. These 2 will be enough, and however, for safety's sake, we are going to learn this, the last leaf also. Out of these 3, I'm sure that you will get at least 1. So wish you all the best. That's all for today. Thank you so much.